Hello soulmates, welcome to another interesting tutorial by the Honest Academy. My name is Justice. So in this tutorial we're going to be looking at how to achieve the style we saw on the thumbnail, and I know you will be interested in knowing how to go about it. Please kindly watch this video to the end to get the best part of it. Okay, let's get started. Now this tutorial is quite easy and simple if you follow it through, and I believe you're going to follow it through. Okay, here I have my basic bodice, my pattern for the basic bodice, and in case you do not know how we got this basic bodice, please, the link is in the description box. Kindly watch the full video there. So here I have my chest line, my bust line. This is the front and this is the back. Okay, CF and CB. So I have the chest, I have the bust, I have the under bust, and I have the waistline. Okay. Now the thing we need to do on this pattern to achieve a more good looking design, we need to alter our under bust measurements, like tighten the under bust and the shoulder area. Okay, now for us to tighten the under bust, we need to take measurements. This is a small pattern, right? This is a small pattern, so if you're using a bigger pattern, you might know how much you have to take from your under bust to tighten it, or better still, just measure your under bust divided by 4. Whatever is left, you'll use it to tighten your under bust, then add it back if need be when you're cutting on your fabric. I hope that is taken. So here we're going to be working with our under bust. Here divided by 4 will give us 3.75, and whatever that is remaining, we have 0.75. I hope you can see this clearly. So 0.75, we're going to distribute it around this dart leg. So on one leg I'm going to take 0.5, and then on the other leg I'm going to take 0.25, making it 0.75. Then I will use my cuff to connect it. Like I said, this is a miniature dress form, so whatever we do here can also apply to a bigger dress form or to a human being. Okay, so I've tightened my under bust. I'm going to take it down to my waistline. You can decide to go on a straight line, or you decide to slant it a little, or bring down the same measurement that you have at the under bust and blend it properly. So the under bust is taken care of. Now we want to tighten our upper bust. So for us to do this, we're going to locate the midpoint of our shoulder. The midpoint of our shoulder will be having 1.25. Okay, and then we're going to be connecting it to our bust point. We're connecting it to our bust point like this, right? Now this depends on where you want the flare to be inserted, either at the midpoint of the shoulder or wherever your design is. But according to the style we're working on, we're using the midpoint of the shoulder to insert our flare. We can also shift it towards the armhole, but this is just where we want it to be. Now for us to tighten our shoulder, we'll be taking ½ inch on both sides, but because this is a miniature form, we'll be taking 0.5 on both sides of the shoulder. I'll be connecting this to our bust area. So we'll be connecting it to the bust on a straight line, and whatever we have taken out, Okay, we're going to be adding it back so that we don't run short of measurements. This is half inch all put together, so we're going to be measuring half inch also and connect it back to our armhole measurements. Gradually connect it back to our armhole measurements like so. Okay, so take it back to this part. Now once we hold this part, our measurement goes back to where it was before. So for the neckline, we're going to be having, because the design has a deep neckline which stops at the under bust, you are going to determine where you want your neckline to stop or where you want it to start. Now looking at that design, the neckline started somewhere around the shoulder, okay, and it followed the neck curve somehow partially down to the underbust. So we're going to be connecting that line too to form the illusion neckline. So for the neckline, we're going to use our hands to make the curve that we want. And what we're going to do is that the neckline is not a fitted neckline, so we're going to widen it a bit by in a bigger measurement. 1 inch is okay. If you're using 3 by 3, you can use widen it into 4. But here we have a smaller measurement, so we're going in by 0.25 or 0.3. Okay, however you want it to be wide, just shift your hand, and whatever you do at the front, that is also what you're going to do at the back. So connect it this way. I hope you can see my hand. Okay, like you're taking the shape of the basic neckline and then you're slanting it back to where you want it to stop. Now we want it to stop at the under bust, and we can see that the under bust is in form of a U shape. So we're making a slant, a small U shape, and connecting it to our neckline as it is coming. Also note that the width of this will also affect your design. If you do not want to show your boobs so much, because this is going below the bust point, so if you do not want to show so much, just make sure that what you take is quite small. Remember that this is unfold. If you take half inch, just know that you're taking 1 inch. If you take 1 inch, you're taking 2 inches when you unfold it. So you can decide to make it as small as you possible or as big as possible depending on what you want. But hey, we do not want indecent dressing, right? We do not want indecent dressing. So whatever I have, I'm going to use marker to highlight it so that you see it properly. You can do this better than I'm doing it. Just try as much as possible to do it. The neckline is looking like it's curved somehow, and this is it. Okay, so this is our neckline. Now note that the whole of this neckline isn't going to be open the way it is. We'll have something like illusion that is holding the pieces together towards the chest line. Okay, so we're going to be inserting an illusion or a fabric or something around this part that will stop either at the chest line or a little above the chest line or at the bust um, point, just to put the fabrics, the pieces together. So we're going to be cutting this out and cutting out our pattern. Now this is for the back. We're equally going to tighten um, the back, but the back at the shoulder point do not need so much tightening. Do not need so much tightening. We can just make a straight line and everything will be fine. Okay, we have at the neckline, we widened it by 0.3. right? Now the depth of the neckline is dependent on you, the way you want it. You can make it a basic. So we're going to be cutting everything out like this, and then we'll go over to cutting our flay. The flay we're going to be using is a 360-degree flay, complete 360-degree flay, and we're going to be staying it with color stay so that it gives it that standing effect. So I have cut out this, it's remaining this part. Now I want the illusion neckline to stop at the chest line, so I'm going to cut it out in a curved form because it's not straight. So I'll cut it out in a curved form. I'll cut everything out. So I'm going to cut from the chest line, and this is what we're going to have as our illusion, and this part is no longer needed. So we're going to keep this safe as possible. So the next thing we're going to do is to the next thing I'm going to do now is to take my CB center back and center front and put them together like this at the shoulder point. This will help me to determine the radius of the flay that I need to insert from the under bust to this wherever I want it to stop at the back side. So I'm going to put them together and measure it. So I'm measuring from my chest line at the back down to the under bust in front, and I have 9.5. So I'm going to use the 9.5 to know the circle of the flay that I'm going to cut. That's the circumference of the flay that I'm going to cut, not the radius, the circumference. Okay, so this will appear in two places because it's going to be side by side for the two shoulders and the front part. Okay, so mate, for us to cut our flay, I've put the fabric unfold into 4. Please, we have complete tutorial on how to cut different types of flay, including the 360-degree flay. Please kindly click on the link in the description box and watch it carefully. So the radius here is 1.6, and so here I have two for one part. One will serve as the main fabric and the other one will serve as the lining. So if you're making it for the two, so I'm going to get my stay now and stay on just one part of this flay. But before I add the stay, I'm going to slant one part of the the two edges of the peplum so that the lower parts will be slanted, will be pointed according to the video. You can see what I'm doing, right? So I'm trying to slant one part this way so that it becomes pointed instead of being in whole like this. So I will have to make the two parts to have the same shape. While it gets towards the end, it narrows down on the lower part. It is all a matter of choice. If you want it to be big down, it's the shape that you want, you can just do it like that. So I'm cutting this part open, and I'm going to be slanting this part too. You can see the way it is. So I'm going to grab my stay now. This is a collar stay. I'm going to stay this part. I can stay the whole of this. You can also stay the edge. Because of the texture of this collar stay, it is just going to stand. Okay, it's strong. It's just going to stand. Okay, I'm going to stay.
So here I made it much smaller because of the size of the mannequin. The former one was quite longer than it, so this one is smaller. And I stirred the two flays. I made it into two because looking at the style, the shoulder has two flays. So I'm going to fix it in between the borders that we cut, starting from the shoulders to wherever it's going to stop. So all you have to do, you can put them together so that it doesn't shift. Just put it together like this and sew it to the shoulders down to where you want it to stop. Because of the nature of this um, stay, it's just going to stand properly. Okay, so that is how to do it. But before then, before attaching it, all right, you can still sew your CF, the cutout or the net, to make it look more beautiful. So you can see what we have here and see how beautiful it's looking. Because of this is a video tutorial or just a tutorial, the CF was cut open, but normally it shouldn't be cut open. And you can see that this is not well relaxed because the flay was stayed and the fabric itself is just the lining. So one is actually dragging the other. So if you have to do this for yourself, you need to make sure that you have structure like underlay under your basic bodies so that the flay, when you stay, it will not be dragging the main bodies. I hope you understand, but this is looking beautiful just like the one we see in the picture. So you can try this out and see how it's going to come out. This is just an illustration of what it's going to look like. Okay, so one tip I'll have to give us here is that when staying this flay, don't allow the stay to get to the seam line so that it doesn't make it very stiff. You can let it get stop before the seam line so that it will be easy for it to dangle. And this is just a play around that you can place this on any part of your bodies and it will make it look more beautiful. Okay, so like I was saying before, don't allow your stair to get into your seam line. That is quite wrong, so you pardon us on this one, right? So I believe you've got something from this video, and please do well to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share it, and make a comment on whatever you like about it. Thank you so much for watching. See you.